Computer. This is Admiral James T. Kirk. Request security access. Computer. Destruct sequence 1. Code 1. 1A.
Well, hello there and welcome. This is your buddy, Admiral Teag, and this is another episode of Saving Star Trek. We have the return of a fan favorite. It's my pal, Captain Petty. Say hello.
Admiral, it's been too long.
It has been too long. I'm really glad to have you back here.
Well, you can't save Star Trek by yourself.
That's right. I need the help of you and all of you out there. Please hit the like and follow buttons as we celebrate Star Trek 3 in our exploration of the so-called odd-numbered movie curse. Now, Star Trek 1 is where you would start if you were normal, but we never do these things like normal people now. So
this had Christopher Lloyd in it, so we got distracted.
And plus, Star Trek 1 is a really big discussion that involves like things that happen between the show and the movie, and we need research. So what we did was we watched Star Trek 3.
Because it's a long episode, and we're gonna crush this in an afternoon.
It is a long episode. It's not a very long movie, though.
It's actually not a long episode if you think about it.
Yeah, it's actually a two-parter.
The menagerie is actually probably longer than this.
Yeah, if you include the entire cage of the menagerie, it's a lot longer, right? Because everything in the cage kind of happens. We only see some of it.
Oh.
But that's a whole menagerie discussion. We're talking about Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock.
The good one.
This is a good movie. Yeah, Star Trek 3, the good one. Yeah, unlike Star Trek Beyond.
Highly above average.
This, you know what? This is not as good as the movie that came before, but you weren't going to top Wrath of Khan. You weren't going to do it right away.
Has it been? No.
Star Trek still hasn't topped it. Star Trek 4 people liked as much, and it made more money, but that takes place in our world.
We'll get into that.
We're going to look at that when we do the even movie charm. We're not going to do the even movie charm arc.
We're just going to go straight to the final frontier.
We're going to go through the bad movies because that's what we do. This movie's actually not bad, though.
No, it's more than not bad. Maybe it's because we've been starved for logic because of the state of cinema and entertainment as it is now. There was a point in this movie where I had something to poo-poo upon.
What was
and a
that?
character poo-pooed upon the logic. There was a discussion between is it Kruge?
Kruge is
and
Doc Brown, the Klingon.
I forgot what the exact. I should have written it down. This is before I was taking notes in my Flomo. We'll explain what Flomo is at some further point.
Flomo is Starfleet code.
Well played. Admirable. And I had this. The logic jump was explained to me via dialogue in real time. Logic and thought and continuity. Miniatures. Matte paintings. Acting. Some overacting. Some underacting.
There was a lot of underacting in this movie.
I felt like I was watching something that someone cared about. Someone crafted this. It wasn't just shat out. Shat. I can say shat. Shatner. Shatner. It wasn't.
If anything, it was Nimoyed out, but it was a good
Nimoyed out
movie.
pretty freaking hard.
It was a good movie. This picks up immediately on the end of Wrath of Khan.
Immediately.
And we see some of Wrath of Khan at the beginning in what we would have to call a cold open, where they catch us up real quick.
Almost silent filmy, but obviously not silent film.
If they had placards instead of just delivering the dialogue, it would have been silent film era. Then we have the crew sort of mourning the passing of Spock. They don't know what's going to happen with the Enterprise. They fixed it up as best they could. They've got it back to Earth.
And they also gently transitioned from the original little silent film thing we're talking about, which obviously wasn't silent, is in black and white, and it transitions during the funeral scene into color.
Is it black and white, or is it stained but a bit blue? It's like bluish black and white.
You're like, splitting hairs.
It's very interesting.
You're
how
burying
they do
the
it.
lead. I was trying to talk about the craftsmanship, but
I agree with you. It's very well crafted, and it's a black and white. It's some as it goes to color transition, it skews through a blue, which is like the Federation color. Is what I was trying to say.
So, the point being, this is supposed to be one of the odd ones that are like
supposed to be bad.
This was it was a long episode, but I'm just enjoying myself. The witty banter's there. We
had so much character interaction.
So much character. The character in general. Everyone had their own personalities. It wasn't just quips. It wasn't just a laser going into the sky. There was actual, cerebral chess going on. It was everything that you could ever love about Star Trek, and I had my favorite. It was boring. It was a boring movie, but it was a boring movie in a way where I just want to see.
Boring the good kind.
Boring the good kind.
Now let me ask you this: what was the logic problem that got solved for you right away?
There was something about why a character would know something.
But there was an in-world explanation that
And
jumped
then he
to mind.
immediately questioned. Kirk immediately questioned. I didn't have it in my notes. We're kind of going off the topic. But
I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because this movie does a lot of really good. When it does exposition, it's like, okay, it's exposition time, but it's done well.
It's
and
done
done
when it's
quick
supposed
and
to be
it's
done.
self-aware.
And there's not a dump of exposition. Also, the way it's conveyed is through the heartlessness of mostly the Vulcan character, who used to be played by Kirstie Alley. They somehow. I was just reading the trivia about that, how she didn't want to be typecast as a Vulcan.
She Kirstie Alley, R.I.P. She was a great Saavik, but this Saavik was just fine.
Yeah, cheap.
This Saavik was just fine.
Aesthetically pleasing.
Aesthetically, she was just as pretty as Kirstie Alley.
Kirstie Alley then, of course, went on to be typecast as
she
a
already
sassy middle-aged woman since she was.
Let's just
20.
say she went with the wrong sci-fi writers cult. She should have stayed with
my.
the Gene Roddenberry cult.
Wait
It's
a
a lot
minute.
more profitable.
What are you alluding to?
I'm saying that if you're in Gene Roddenberry's cult, they give you money, but if you're in the cult of,
No
say,
way. I did not know this.
Tom Cruise, you give money to them.
She was a Scientologist?
She's a science. You didn't know that?
No.
Kirstie Alley's career was probably guided by. She was probably told to jump off that because the next project was right around the bend, and there could be more money faster. Scientology doesn't really think these things out the way we
You know what's
think.
hilarious? Because I know I've seen many a Kirstie Alley movie. If you put a phaser to my head right now and ask me to name one.
I can only name one more.
What?
Is it called Runaway with Tom Selleck and Gene Simmons? Where
Gene Simmons?
Yes, Gene Simmons is the bad guy in a near-future cop movie where these runaway robots, they can shoot acid, and he's got like a small army of them, and and what can I say? Tom Selleck just never movie timber for some strange reason. People just didn't accept small screen people as movie people then.
That's why Clint Eastwood had to go to Italy.
I guess, yeah, to
that's
clean
exactly
off his
what it was.
image. Did he? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen,
So-
we got a couple of things in this movie showing us that Captain Kirk's Admiral Kirk
Yes.
is not really going to be getting his way
Oh,
or
I'm sorry.
anything he wants. When they get the Enterprise back to Starbase, we
Yeah.
find out the Starbase is at Earth, and there's a bizarre incident with McCoy. You want to recount it?
No.
Okay. McCoy,
Oh, okay.
He was
He was tripping balls.
He's tripping balls.
Oh, in the not cantina scene.
No, we're talking about when you get the alert in McCoy in Spock's old quarters.
Oh, okay. That's when he breaks in.
Because McCoy can sometimes speak in tongues in this movie. That's what I'm
Because
getting at.
he's been mind melded as they look back on the camera. He's been mind melded with Spock before Spock's demise. You said Admiral Kirk, right?
But he's still
'Cause
Admiral
I don't
Kirk
ha-
at this point.
Oh, because I don't have Admiral Kirk here. I have Tom Jones.
He is
Tom
got
Jones-
Tom Jones
Tom
civilian
Jones.
clothes.
I have Star Trek 3, starring Tom Jones.
He's got Tom Jones hair and
His
a very
clothes.
Tom Jones clothing.
Yeah. But he speaks like William Shatner.
He speaks in the inimitable manner of William Shatner. Now, on this starbase, which is where they repair ships, I guess, it's close to Earth, and the guy who has Kirk's old job, head of Starfleet, is there. Progressively played by an African American actor.
Here we go.
Actor, which is ahead of its time for the '80s. And it was a silent statement towards progressivism that no one really could get,
How far do you
opinionated
think
about.
I think you're reaching right now?
It's not a reach at that point. How
Okay,
far
that
away?
was my
How far
question.
away is a black president?
It
the
should be in
time
the
of this
past.
movie.
It should be in the past. 2008 is when we got a black president. Like
Right.
of America or like a country,
Right,
a
but
real
this
country.
movie's from 1984.
Cool. Oh, what a great year to be talking about.
It's a good year of movies. Anyway, listen, there is like a better, more optimistic future shown in this movie with everybody being equal, and the head of Starfleet it just happens to be black, is what I'm saying.
Even though, okay.
And this is a job that was once held by Kirk. It's the top job in all of Starfleet. Kirk has that job at the beginning of the motion picture.
He gets demoted to Admiral.
No, he talks to another admiral and says that he needs to take the seat of the Enterprise to intercept Feature. That's the part in Star Trek: The Motion Picture, another odd-numbered movie we'll get
Which
to.
is probably better than Wrath of Khan.
It's
the good one.
It's actually the good one is almost as good as Wrath of Khan. It's just that Wrath of Khan is so good.
You're ruining the
One of the
joke
best
that I'm going to be
movies
making. That I'm going to call all of them the good one.
There are
Until we get to my favorite one, which is of course
Star Trek 5.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I have
the
a
good
soft
one.
spot for Star Trek 5 too. I had the poster on my dorm room. But okay, so at any rate, when they're mourning Spock, Spock's father comes, and he's kind of pissed because they left him out in space, and there's a chance that we can like jumpstart Spock. We just need to extract Spock's brain from Kirk's.
Which is kind of against isn't that kind of against the whole Vulcan way of thinking? And isn't that illogical to address at the end of the movie?
It's all brand new, and at the end of the movie, they tell him that no one's tried this weird, wacko mysticism for a real long time. And they make sure to stay nebulous on it. They don't say like 100 gazillion years. They're just like, this is a real weird thing.
Spock knew it was an option. Wait a minute, can I ask you a question?
Spock obviously knew it was an option because he puts it into effect.
I have a moral conundrum now.
Okay.
Spock mind melded with McCoy.
Right.
And then sacrificed himself, knowing there was a chance for him to live. Does that not make his sacrifice a little bit less?
Yes, it does.
Wow.
That's something
I think
about
I hate this movie.
That's something about
It
this
deserves.
movie that does.
It deserves the 6.6 on IMDb.
But it is a 6.6 movie, which is not in real life. It's a 66% good movie.
I think
in my mind, it's a 75% good movie.
I want to establish the Avengers Endgame scale.
How about the Independence Day scale first?
This Independence
did it
Day
make
is
just
better.
enough sense? Independence Day might be better.
It is better. It's more into.
I would call it a tie.
Really?
Well, this movie doesn't have the spectacle, but this movie has a lot more cause-effect logic than Independence Day ever gives us. We are not, even though this movie takes place in a far more speculative world than Independence Day by half.
Is it crazy that even as a child, I find this movie probably as entertaining?
This movie
This is the most wonderful type of boring.
It was
Also,
a smart, boring movie.
It
was aware of its shortcomings and tried to backfill them with things like really good music.
Amazing score by James Horner.
Yes, amazing acting by most of the cast.
Except for, I have it written right here.
Who is your problem?
Every bridge has to have only two competent actors. The captain and and either the communications or the what's the thing called when they drive the plane?
The helmsman.
Yeah, the helmsman. Other than that, everyone is just dead fish.
Scotty's a little out of place behind the console. We've never seen him up at the navigation helm before. Usually he's at the science the engineering station.
Yeah. And you have
Bones retest to the science station. Sometimes talking like
Chekhov
Spock.
is acting.
He's acting
You're right.
science officer, but sometimes McCoy is back there because he has the abilities of Spock.
Also, I have there's two other what's it called? Ships.
Klingon?
No, the things. What's it called?
Federation?
Federation ships. And I have here.
The
Every other
Grissom.
captain is a putz.
The captain of the Grissom.
With no balls, zero balls. These people, these men.
The captain of the Grissom takes no decisive action. He's not ready for the
Well, I
Klingon.
don't know. Maybe we should call my supervisor.
Arguably, he freezes when he should be raising shields when the small Klingon attack ship, a scout ship, comes out of orbit. He's got a Federation research ship, but it's armed. He could have fought
But also,
to a
it's just like
standstill.
that just makes all of Kirk's decisions look even just more like presumptive and manly and like
He's a lot more
he's
manly
just
than
so competent.
all the Starfleet officers on the base. And Scotty takes up in this too. He throws him in it too. He gives everyone shore leave when they return, except Scotty gets reassigned to get the Excelsior up to speed.
Excalibur.
They get the Excelsior up to speed. They need Mr. Scott to perform some of his miracles on the Excelsior, which serves our movie well.
Yeah, the guy
it's
who
very
doesn't-
organic the way they do it.
The
It's
guy
like,
who
listen,
doesn't
but we
want-
need Scotty.
The guy who doesn't want to take a break, they don't give him a break.
He's a workaholic. That's
And then
Scotty.
they decommission the Enterprise.
They
didn't-
tell him the meanest way they can.
But they should have did the compliment sandwich. Just like, listen, guys, good job. We're decommissioning the thing, and then be like, oh, shore leave. You know, maybe Kirk would have just been satisfied with that, and just didn't have to,
I think what happened,
have to
Chekhov
Shanghai.
says something like, unfortunately, Chekhov says something that begs the answer, and he's just like, since he's not talking to Kirk, he's just like, I'm going to unload this now. He doesn't even turn his back and look at Kirk. He's like, oh, there'll be no refitting. Oh, I think it's Scotty. Scotty's like, well, I'll be staying, if it's all the same to Starfleet, I'll be staying here and refitting the Enterprise. He's like, Oh, there'll be no refit on this old tub.
20 years.
And that's wrong, by the way, because in the beginning of Star Trek 20 years earlier, the beginning of the show, we see that the ship's been around for 13 or 14 years when Pike was in command with Science Officer Spock not having been moved up
Are
to
you trying to
exile.
call out the continuity of this great franchise?
There's a problem with the Cage's continuity.
This is the type
age
of
of the
question-
starship. They could be talking about the time since the refit, though.
See, this is the type of
The refit is
question that
20
I
years
could
old.
imagine being asked of William Shatner at a convention in like 1991, in like the heyday of like nerdom before it was ruined.
Yeah,
by
and he would have told people to get a life.
get a
because that's how
fucking
Shatner
life. I'm here to
used
sign
be.
autographs, $20 a pop.
The effects in this movie mostly hold up.
Mostly, I would give it
9 out of 10.
the
on
charm.
effects today.
It's just the charm alone. There's matte lines, but the miniatures. It's not even the charm. It's just the craftsmanship. It's like every fiber optic light. It's fitted by human hands and then promptly blown up. I hate when people say exploded.
And where we
Blown
save
up.
money here is on the Genesis planet. It's
We save a
Gilligan's
lot.
Island.
We save
It's
a lot.
Gilligan's Island. It's a
lot.
soundstage. It doesn't look very good. It's not a location. But we're going to blow it up completely. It's got 3 or 4 different environments. The Genesis planet, enormously unstable. And we find out that David Marcus, son of Admiral Kirk, has used highly illegal proto-matter to make the Genesis effect. And that's, whoa.
And the beautiful Vulcan lady calls him out on it, and he just has this look of like,
okay, yeah. I read the wrong book.
David do bad.
Yeah, it was
David
just like
do bad.
proto-matter, people. Not even once. Not even once. Stay away from that proto-matter. So anyway, the proto-matter is causing the planet to age in spurts, and they very quickly locate a young Vulcan child by the undamaged torpedo tube, which is crawling with maggoty microbes.
Which are also aging rapidly.
Yeah, we're going to see them later. They'll be several generations more powerful when we see them just hours later.
Not more powerful than Christopher Lloyd.
No. So they spend a couple of hours on the planet. They get hit with a snowstorm in the middle of a desert-like environment. Nothing
cacti.
makes sense.
Yeah.
They find a young Vulcan child with a mind like a void. He doesn't know what's going on. They're figuring things out a little too fast, but this is an
You know what? Now
movie.
I kind of we'll give it it's a long episode, but listen, let's not make it too long. An hour and 45 minutes, Admiral.
Yeah.
It has dignity.
You know what?
It didn't have to hang around for 2.5 hours.
It didn't beat us up with a lot of stupidity. And when it's exposition time, the problem that they're having is it's exposition time with new Savick lady and Kirk's son. So, like, we barely know them. And they're dumping the most difficult stuff on us. Like, I used, Vibranium X to make the planet. It's very bad. And now this planet is going to explode. And she's like, Explodo 5 was a bad planet to make. And he's like, I was wrong to make Explodo 5, which is what I call the Genesis planet.
But when it gives us the exposition, it's not a dump, and it's also like a few minutes right after there's some good snarky
It's well
banter.
written.
The characters
And
are so well written.
And she does some good acting because she's like proto-matter.
Well,
And
she's
we right away, we know.
Just,
Right? As soon as he mentions he uses proto-matter, her whole demeanor changes.
I'm sorry, her eyes were so doughy.
Yeah, this was a good Savick. I forget.
You know what
the
it was?
second
It's
Savick.
also that DeForest Kelly's eyes are so creepy and frog-like that it's very jarring from scene to scene. The rest of this conversation will be about the eyeballs of every cast member.
Well, DeForest Kelly does a really good job acting in this, even though they dub Spock's voice, because he does try to Vulcan mind meld, mind pinch, nerve pinch someone. He tries the Vulcan grip out on
Does
some
not
people.
work.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the strength or dexterity to pull it off. Let's see who played Savick this time around. It was Robin Curtis. And I don't know what else she
Miss
did.
Curtis, if you're listening, thank you for your
I'm going to query the
moderate
library
performance.
computer now. We'll be sure she's in Star Trek Adventure. She's in the next Star Trek movie, and she's making movies.
No, she's not, because we're not reviewing that one next.
Well, no, we're not. That's an even numbered movie.
Yeah, but we don't watch those. We only watch the good
We
ones.
Stay away from the good movies.
Can't wait to get to Nemesis. Anyway.
We can't wait. Yeah, oh God.
Okay. No.
The next generation movies. There's no odd numbered movie curse. They're all bad.
They're all bad.
They're all bad.
All bad.
Yeah.
Some of them are horrendous.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Horrendous.
Bad elevates some of them.
All right.
Okay. So final thoughts on Star Trek: Search for Spock.
Final thoughts.
Well,
I have so many more thoughts.
Go ahead. Keep going.
First of all, we have to talk about the fashions of these men.
On the Earth-based starbase, the Starfleet brass are wearing really country clubbish sort of jackets.
They look like they're part of a sex cult.
There's an eyes wide shut moment at the end
They're
too, with the
short.
Vulcan resurrection
A
ritual.
lot of virgin drapery, but I have to comment more. I have to comment on Sulu's. I wouldn't call it I wouldn't call it an outfit. I'll call it a getup.
Zulu has a leather poncho that keeps
A
his
leather
arms
cape
free.
poncho. He is basically. I'm sorry.
It's a sleeveless leather.
My man looks like the Godfather of Soul.
It's great. I guess what he's wearing is a sleeveless leather
Cape jacket.
Well, like the thing is, it doesn't have sleeves, but his arms don't go through it either. It's just it's an open-sided tunic so that he can freely move his arms through martial arts. Because when they rescue McCoy, who's been put in the Federation Funny Farm for talking about Planet Forbidden Genesis, where we see a hilarious alien.
So what's also quite funny is when they commandeer the teleporter, they put someone in the closet after Sulu.
Transporter.
Sorry.
Yes, that character billed as Mr. Adventure in the credits. And what they do is they have Kirk and Uhura use their influence to get her stationed there. That was part of the plan.
Speaking of the transporter, Admiral.
And she doesn't stick around for the trip to the Genesis planet. She goes to Vulcan to get things ready. So, yes, speaking of the Genesis planet.
No, speaking of the transporter.
Oh, the transporter. We got
what-
a great
what did
sound
we-
effect on that one.
Yeah, what did our eagle eyes see? Do not.
Oh, we
Would
saw
you
a
like me-
great sign.
Can I
I'm going
please?
to have
Can
to
I
bring
please?
up here so our audience can see.
May I please start?
Go for it.
All right. So the third most important thing is keep extremities within transporter field. Sorry. So that's very important. Number 2. This is number 2 on the list. Place feet in center of pad. Admiral, you're the ranking officer. Do you want to give our audience the number 1 rule for the transporter is?
This movie takes place in the year 2285, and the number 1 rule is no smoking. They must have had fun making this, but you know what? That shows the care that was put into the prop because we had to freeze the movie to see it.
Yeah.
We had to freeze.
I
What
saw
the
it,
hell
like-
kind of a caution sign would they have on a
First of all,
transporter? Keep feet in center of pad. Don't stick your arms outside the transport beam.
But
Don't smoke.
Admiral, could you please put that out? And
Sorry.
please stop flailing our arms.
We maybe, we get transported any minute. That's it. You know what? If you bring someone from the 20th century onto the transporter, they might light up just out of nervousness, like we're going to scatter your atoms through the universe.
Now, on a ranking system of T.J. Hooker to
Are we talking about Shatner's hair now?
No, we're talking about the acting from T.J. Hooker to I'm losing my command. From to like
the worst moments of early Star Trek,
so
where they're unsure.
how-
Or season 3 disasters.
how hammy did we get?
We never got close to a season 3 disaster.
No.
But what we did here was we challenged William Shatner in a way we'd never seen him challenged before. We kill off his son, who he's only just met. He's never even had time to bond with this man, who is his son. Creator of the Genesis planet, arguably going to be thought of as one of the greatest minds in the Federation for what he's done.
Shittiest actor in the movie.
Well, I mean, we don't know. He doesn't know that the planet's not going to work. He thinks he solved the population and food crisis. His son's a great man, and Carol Marcus would have been in this, but the actress got ill.
So
the problem, I guess, is we kill Kirk's son on screen while Kirk is sort of hooked in via brutally stabbing. But he dies making a difference. He saves Saavik
which
from
is
being
very
murdered.
Kirk-like.
And it's very un-Klingon-like to want to stab them in the back. We're learning about Klingons here.
He's about to stab him, but you're absolutely right.
He would have a Klingon would want to see the life drain from your eyes. He's a Klingon.
There's a lot of world building.
A lot of world building
with
for
the
Klingons.
Klingons.
Yes. We see their brutality. We see a Targ, their dog, which just disappears. They leave that on the Vulcans deal with the Targ.
No, you see this. You see the dog dead. He picks the dog's body up when it's they're on the bridge.
Oh, does it get killed when the Enterprise is able to briefly attack before
Yes.
Okay, so when they steal the Enterprise, which is the highlight of this movie, Kirk appeals to Starfleet to borrow the Enterprise to save Spock.
Borrows.
After he finds, they're going to scrap it anyway.
Hijacks.
Well, since they're going to hijack
Domestic terrorism.
Since they've told dangerous insurrectionist Captain Admiral Kirk that he shouldn't be taking out the decommissioned piece of garbage Enterprise because it's too important to risk it in a rescue mission for Spock, and that they've got the Grissom there holding down the fort around this weird Genesis planet that's become a real problem in the time they've been gone. So I guess it takes a few weeks to limp back to starport because they can only go low warp and stuff. At any rate,
So
back at Earth, things don't go Kirk's
Oh.
way, and he tells his crew in a great Kirk line, "I've been told, what is the word? The word is no. I, therefore, am going anyway. We're all with you, sir. I can't ask you to go any farther." Nonsense. Where are we going? And they're all on board.
Right.
Friendship, loyalty,
So-
and sacrifice.
When David dies, there's a moment that where I just invent. I'm going to implement this new William Shatner scene chewing rating system.
Right.
We have ham, then we have glazed ham, then we have delicious glazed ham, and the top ranking is suckling delicious glazed ham.
I'm going to say this was probably
gonna
delicious glazed ham.
Well,
There's a higher level.
there might be something worse than suckling. I cannot wait to go through these movies.
I don't know. I'm saying it's a second from worse. The line in question, I'm guessing, is, "You Klingon bastard, you've killed my son."
You've killed my. When
Klingon bastard,
Yeah,
killed my son. And while he delivers the line, he falls to the floor. He tries to sit down in his captain's seat, and he misses the shit. And he falls to the floor.
The man thinks he's in a fucking stage play at a junior high school in Long Island.
He's giving
somewhere.
130%.
He is giving.
Director Leonard Nimoy maybe should have thought about a different take.
Could you do that with a little bit more feeling, Bill?
Now, by the way, it's well known that it's well known during the Star Trek show they would often do multiple takes with William Shatner to get him to calm
Is that
down.
true? Is that true?
Yeah, so to get his enthusiasm level down to normal human being level.
Like Kubrick level? Like
Yeah, like they had the
127?
Kubrick in like 35 takes to get Shatner ready.
We gotta tire this guy out.
So I imagine about 1 week of filming went into "You Klingon bastard, you've killed my son."
Klingon bastards. Oh, my favorite. May I?
How
Zero.
Klingon? Well, by the way,
Zero.
why don't I learn how to speak Klingon?
Zero. Destruct. Zero. I'm sorry. What were you, Admiral? I'm sorry to have cut you off. Oh, you gotta pull it up for us.
Computer, Commander Montgomery Scott,
Zero.
Chief Engineering Officer.
There is more passion.
Destruct Sequence 2.
There's more
Code
passion
1,
put in this word. Destruct.
1A,
You guys have to hear this.
2B.
You can lean that in over there.
You know what? Honestly, I think that Scotty sounds more upset than Kirk.
Because he's a better actor.
But because he's nursed
A
his shit
far
back
better-
from destruction
a far-
so many times. He's getting across. We're not getting actor James Doohan. We're getting Montgomery Scott's feeling about destroying the thing he loves the most. He's not married. He has nothing but the ship. He is a career Starfleet guy. He has no home in Star Trek The Next Generation. He's heading to a retirement colony that he just gets because he's done working. They won't let him stick around anymore.
The level of competence when he takes over the ship. I forgot which episode it is where he's acting captain.
A lot. He's acting captain a lot.
Oh my God! You feel like for a moment like
This is
I don't
Admiral
know how
James
much-
T. Kirk. Request security access.
I don't know how much pettiness it actually went by. There's so much more pettiness I want behind the scenes of these films and the television show that I think actually exists.
Computer.
I want there to be a
Destruct sequence 1.
with
Code 1.
Nimoy and
1A.
Shatner over directing duties. But I hope that does exist because we're definitely doing research for the motion picture.
Let's listen to Scotty here.
Okay, sorry. I thought we were doing a discussion.
Well, no, we're doing
Computer.
This is
Commander
Scott.
Montgomery Scott, Chief Engineering Officer. Destruct Sequence 2. Code 1, 1A, 2B.
He's smiling vibrantly in this picture.
You know what? Honestly, I thought his delivery, and when we watched James Doohan deliver that line in the movie, this man who's nursed this ship back from the edge of destruction and kept it in space for 20 some odd years at this point. He's
Typecast.
slaving
You
away.
think Kirstie Alley would?
But the thing is, he's not afraid to be typecast.
No.
He's going to be the best Scotty he can be. That delivery
legend.
of Scotty destroying the
Sci-fi
thing he loves.
legend.
But he loves the Enterprise more than he's ever
Anything.
loved
And he's-
anything, any woman, any object,
and he makes,
anything.
And he makes us love it, Admiral. He makes us love it.
Scotty ordering the destruction of the Enterprise, the look on James Doohan's face, the way they...
Thank you, Mr. Doohan.
And the filming, yes, Scotty,
You're
thank you.
you're doing us justice.
And then we get the final destruct
Oh,
order from,
God. This
from
delivery.
another old friend. This one was a little, I don't know.
Is this
Computer,
Oh.
this is Commander Pavel Chekhov, acting
So
acting
so he's
science
acting.
officer? Yeah.
Science
Look
officer.
at his. Look at that. Look at that.
Destruct
headshot. Look at
sequence
that
3,
chin. Oh man.
code 1B,
That's for like.
2B,
It's like his own
3.
What's weird is the further down the chain of command you are, the longer the destruct sequence you have to remember
Fuck off.
is, right?
Oh yeah. Oh
Kirk's
my God.
is like 0,
Kirk,
0.
Kirk is 000 destruct 0.
Now, here we
Completed
go.
and engaged. Awaiting final code for 1 minute
God, you have to
countdown.
hear this.
Code.
Yep.
Okay, now he's going to feed in the code, and this is William
You
Shatner.
tell
and
me that-
he's just watched his friend Scotty and his subordinate Chekhov. Chekhov is out to lunch on this, but he's not the greatest actor.
You
in this
tell
movie,
us
but
how much acting you hear in this one delivery.
This is some great voice acting, and to see him do it.
0, 0, 0. Destruct. 0.
He heard the word destruct. It's a 4 syllable.
Destruct. 0, 0, 0, 0.
How many times do you think he looked up at? He's like, "Hey, Leo, you think I could do that again?"
Yeah, Leonard, come on one more time. You know what?
We've been
and
here
then
all day, Bill.
at the end of this movie, we get away from this Explodo 5, the Genesis planet. It does what it has to do. It blows up like it has to. It was made the wrong way. We've undone the damage. We don't have infinite Death Stars. No messing with proto-matter, not even once.
We're done.
And we stay away from it forever. It's never mentioned again.
Oh.
Genesis planet, never mentioned again. High points of the movie, just to wrap it up, when Christopher Lloyd, when Doc Brown takes out his girlfriend Varlas.
Oh my God, man.
First of all, she's beautiful.
She's well, yeah. The very
Boob window on the dress.
the boob window is with that. Anyway,
It's a great boob window.
So we were talking about previously in the very beginning of the film.
We find out the Klingons have a very active and very effective espionage device on the Enterprise, on the Starfleet guys, and that there's a few humans in it with them.
And what's it? Krug?
Captain Krug.
Captain Krug is
Exactly.
his love accidentally sees this this footage and which is classified and has to terminate her life
Well, he has to kill her. But
out
the thing
out of just duty, and she just takes it. Goodbye, my love. How unfortunate.
she hadn't seen it by mistake.
Yeah,
She watched it because she's a Klingon and she's looking for an advantage too.
No.
And she accidentally reveals that she's watched it. She says it will be of great use, and he goes, "So you've seen it."
So he
And
has,
she
he has,
decides the honorable thing to do is tell the truth.
and you think that he actually got some sort of pleasure out of killing his girl. His
He
boob.
gets pleasure out of killing.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the ultimate act of love and violence coming together. Yeah, maybe it was just stimulating. I don't know if he enjoyed it, but he drank in the stimulation of what he had to do. And this is the first time we're really seeing the Klingons like this. They're rigid. They're dutiful. They, if they have a disadvantage, it's that they think very rigidly. And this is the first time we always sub them in for the Russians, but we're clubbing it to death now. These are the Russians.
Let's not.
These are not smart Tom Clancy Russians either. These are communists who don't think that individualistically. And that's their weakness in this movie. And that's how Kirk, when he fights Krug, and let's talk about the fist fight between Kirk and Krug.
The fist fight. I don't think a single punch is thrown.
They are
It's all cross bodies.
hitting
it's,
people with tree limbs.
It is yes. That's the only strikes that I remember being involved in. Now, thank you. There's an opportunity for an enziguri where he catches Tom Jones's leg, and he does this just barrel flip, this acrobatic. But it's obviously it's not exactly. It's never Christopher Lloyd and Tom Jones. It's always there's Mostly
It's
this
them
one.
when they're moving towards each other, and then when we cut away.
Not at the hilarious comical level of the television show, but
The fact that we weren't using the actors means that we probably could have gotten some better stuff.
you don't need a backflip, is what I'm trying.
Neophyte director Leonard Nimoy showing he can't do action yet.
Yeah.
It's
But-
okay though. It's not horrible.
So there are points where he wants to actually save Kruge, right? Where he's on the styrofoam rock.
Right, just very quickly about the Rock. When Captain Kirk, Admiral Kirk, and
Whoa,
I
get it
feel like
straight.
it's like the Pirates of the Caribbean, like Captain Jack Sparrow,
Yeah.
right? It's like Admiral Kirk.
Yeah.
When Admiral Kirk and Krug are going at it, Krug now, like we said, there's not a lot of punching.
He
but
does an
Krug
accidental-
picks up Kirk by the neck
Yes.
and throws him up against this rock, and he starts slamming Kirk's head into the rock and
CTE.
slamming his Kirk,
Yeah.
and he's like, Genesis, tell me about it.
That was a
Tell
really
me
good-
about Genesis.
Marty, you're chased.
Marty, we've got to get back to the future. Tell me about Genesis.
We don't
Give
need-
me its secret, which is a terrible line. It is bad. At that moment, it is bad. And the thing is, did you notice the chicken wire on the rock?
I
The rock
didn't.
was made of chicken wire and stucco.
I didn't.
Okay, you can see it as the lightning flashes.
So-
and as the lightning flashes, Spock ages too, which is a Frankenstein metaphor. David Marcus, Captain Kirk's son, has made of this planet is his Frankenstein's monster.
Well played.
And the lightning is showing the planet aging as Spock ages. So there's a good side to this monster that he's made. It's that it regenerates Spock. So in losing a son, he does regain his friend, but then he loses in a trap where the Klingons have him dead to rights. Now the Enterprise is jury rigged so the crew can fly it. There's only 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
And McCoy's half useless. So they try to fight it out with the Klingons. They bash up the Klingon ship pretty good, but the Klingon ship recovers and gets a shot off on the Enterprise. It overloads the automation Scotty's put on there.
This is when the cerebral chest comes in.
Right, now
So
it's
it's
easy.
very reminiscent of the original series.
Because first of all, it's very easy to believe it takes about 300 people to run the Enterprise, right?
See, this was my question earlier to you. Like, how many people would normally?
100 people in 3 shifts.
That's okay. Okay, so that's what I was trying. Only the bridge gets blown. Oh, well, you get
Oh, you're talking about
up.
why the bridge blows up first?
Only but that basically the rest of the crews would be marooned, and well, I mean, they would
There's
also be
I guess you could
meteorically
hide in the
headed-
what they call the drive section.
Yeah.
You could hide in
I mean, the body of the ship isn't it residential? Maybe that was in
No, there are no families on a Constitution class starship. That is a
okay.
Galaxy class starship from the next
What would I do
generation.
without you? I couldn't do this show by myself.
And I could never do it without you.
Oh, you've done
and
it.
my
That's why you
own-
don't need me.
Never.
I'm
saving-
color
saving-
commentary.
Saving Star Trek is always usually a 2-show.
No,
two-host
we
show.
need more than just 2 people because we need to save. I feel like my passion for Star Trek has been reinvigorated.
Well, maybe we'll go live after this and see what happens with the live audience out there. There's no one else out there doing
We have
this
to
stuff right
you have
now.
to finish your thought about the Enterprise being sacrificed.
Okay, so this is the thing. He knows his son has died. He gets it together because his friends are there, and this movie is built on making it believable that he could move on from his son's death. As one, they weren't
Quite
that,
quickly.
They weren't that close.
No, see,
He's known him for 3 days. The other part is this. He's got his other friends to save. He's got 4 more people to think about. He's been trained to prioritize. He does believe in the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, despite what he says to end the movie. Kirk goes right in there and he says, you know what, we're going to do this, this, and this. Let's do what we just heard. He tells Captain Krug, who won't identify himself because he's in violation of every treaty in the book, and he won't say who they are,
Well, that got
and he
taken
won't
care
say in
of.
the queer we're Klingons. He won't say it. He says, you know, like, but Kirk is saying, he's like, attention, Klingon commander.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is the enemy, commander.
Oh,
He won't
excellent
acknowledge
version.
who he is. And he's like, prepare to board this ship on my next signal. I need 1 minute to tell my crew. I grant 2 minutes to you and your brave crew. So yeah,
Gallant crew.
So gallant crew, and then we find out that you can run to the transporter room from the bridge in about 1 minute if you really
Less
move.
than that, because when the Klingons come, they have 7 seconds left when they get out. Get out!
The thing is, the transportation of the Klingons 2 minutes later and the Enterprise crew when they get to the transporter is near instantaneous. So if he'd accepted Kirk's terms, they wouldn't have gotten there in time. So they barely make it. They beam off the ship.
Good thing they weren't
the
smoking.
The Klingons instantaneously beam on. Thank God, yeah, the Klingons aren't smoking yet. They haven't taken the ship. Like Independence Day, they're going to smoke that cigar after the mission is successful. And then they run to the bridge of the Enterprise. And this is one of the things about the movie that you could call flawed. At this time, Star Trek fans had the luxury of nitpicking. This is a nitpick now. The Klingons speak Klingon a lot of the time, but they speak English when we need them to. They speak English to each other a lot,
which is
too.
ridiculous.
They speak Klingon to each other. They speak English to each other interchangeably. It becomes obviously clear that Captain Krug speaks both. He can speak human,
conveniently enough,
English, or whatever you want to call it.
This movie was released in the United States, so.
And one of the things that we get about the Klingons is when they see the Genesis device tested, one of them says their technology is impressive. They can create planets. And Krug is disgusted. He goes, yes, in your home with your wife at your side, your children playing in the yard, and the flag of the Federation fluttering in the breeze. Get back to your station. He's disgusted by he's like, it could destroy an entire planet. Impressive. He sees the military application immediately.
That character is so well written. I love when he goes for with the little wormy bugs that were with Spock's fucking.
By the time the Klingons get to Spock's casket from Star Trek II, which is a torpedo tube, with these microbes which are the size of crabs the last time we saw them, are now. Well, they're like snakes, are like cobra size. They are big and impressive.
It's almost like
scary.
a Komodo dragon without legs.
Remember the thing from Prometheus that crushes the guy's arm? It's like that.
I cannot wait to get to that.
We're going to talk about Prometheus
April Fool's Day, baby.
Yeah, April Fool's will be the
Every time I like watching the movie on April Fool's Day because I'm just like this movie has to be a joke.
So what day do we do Event Horizon then?
Oh.
Right? That's a good movie.
Let me get to my point. So he starts crushing one of these things with his hand, and it wraps around his neck, about to suffocate him.
And his guys don't step in.
They don't do shit because it was almost like a samurai. He would be dishonoring
him. He sought out combat with this unknown life form. He was going to be the first.
You let me handle this.
I'm going to be the first Klingon to kill one.
The movie could have just ended there.
But the thing is, yes, if he failed.
Imagine.
But think about what that tells us. They show without telling us that him being the first Klingon to kill one of these things, that's got some cachet in their society.
The thought that went into the characterization is just mind-boggling.
And the way they show, not tell, and tell us so much. His wanting to kill this thing in single, unarmed combat and be the first Klingon to do it in their society means a lot.
This movie is I give this movie a 10 out of 10, 10 on 10. No, it's like a 7.
All right, and we're going to go live in 2 seconds. I'm kidding.
Getting a steak.
We are 43 minutes into this, and we're at the perfect time to start.
That felt like no time.
It really felt like I've been talking about this movie for about 2 minutes. Because it's a lot of fun.
Do yourselves a favor, all right?
In the odd-numbered movies. It's
so,
not as good as Gone, but so what?
Everyone do yourselves a favor, all right? Revisit these films.
This movie is as good as Star Trek 4.
You know what? I would say as a Star Trek film, this is better than 4. 4 is a good
because it takes place on Earth.
Well, that's cheating. Yes, also it's very digestible for a broad audience, and that's how much Star Trek's about.
And their time travel's pretty convenient.
Star Trek is supposed to be. It's supposed to ostracize normies. All right, this used to be escapism. All right, I want my babble. I want my boring crap. I want my languages. I want my snarkiness.
Right.
I want my shitty acting. This has it all.
Great shitty acting.
Great shitty acting. Glazed ham. We're at glazed.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I thought his delivery of "You Klingon bastard, you killed my son" was great twice. It was hitting it the third time that made it suck. Leonard Nimoy might have been trying to get even with William Shatner by having him do it that third time.
Listen, Bill. Bill. But
Shatner on set was like, I need to say it 11 times.
I'm going to do that again.
Let me do it one more time.
Leo.
I have a better take in me. Nope. And then put some Valium in Jim's coffee. Now Bill's coffee.
We're going to go ahead and do you a favor. We're going to refuel. And next time we speak, who knows?
We might be going live.
We might be going live.
But Star Trek 3, there's no odd-numbered movie curse. It's simply that this movie had a lot of heavy lifting to do to bring back
There's
Spock.
an after original series curse.
You know, there's a movie called Star Trek Into Darkness. Let me tell you about a guy called J.J. Abrams who brings
Who you never spoke about.
I never talk about him, but he kills off Kirk in his version of this movie that has no space scene to set up. His movie's not set up. There's no reason for them to hate Khan. He's only as dangerous as a bad guy Romulan. But anyway,
there's no bad guys in Into Darkness. There's only one. J.J. Abrams.
Yes, it's a terrible, terrible movie. But you know what? We kill Kirk the same way Spock dies, saving everyone. But we bring him back in what, 6-8 minutes?
Yeah.
And then instead of killing Khan, the bad guy, what do? We save him for another movie.
Yeah, because we don't know. We can't make a decision.
Because we can't commit. We don't commit here.
Everyone comes back except for Quicksilver and Uncle Ben.
This was a great movie to experience. It was a great movie to enjoy. This was an enjoyable trip to the Star Trek. Well, we never had this much fun with the Star Trek people.
Sequence is activated.
It's kind of like they were very self-aware.
Admiral, you initiated the self-destruct sequence.
Oh, that one.
My lord, the ship appears to be deserted.
20 seconds.
How can that be?
What?
They're hiding.
What?
Now, is that me or is that Christopher Lloyd?
Yes, sir. But the bridge seems to be run by
Count
computer.
Doom. Count Doom?
It is the only thing.
It's not Count Dooku.
What? No.
It's Doc Brown.
What's his name
Speaking.
from Roger Rabbit?
Speaking?
Get the name from
Something
Roger
Doom.
Rabbit.
Let me hear.
Chat was the people in the comments. Help us out.
That's one of my favorite
Please
films.
like and follow this podcast, and please like and follow this video. You know, your comments and your thumbs up all.
Get out!
Maybe we should leave.
Get out! Get out!